Every time Camilla opens up about something painful, bulimia, loneliness, fear, the press calls her brave. Every single time. But when Diana said the exact same things 20 years earlier, they called her unstable, attention-seeking, crazy. And that's not a coincidence. That is a strategy, and it's happening right now. 15 PR moves, all timed, all deliberate, all designed to do one thing, make you forget Diana and feel sorry for Camilla instead. Diana told the world she was suffering and they tried to destroy her for it. Every time a royal scandal breaks, Andrew, Epstein, anything, Camilla suddenly appears on television sharing her pain. The timing is never an accident. They hired a man named Mark Bolland to make this happen. He had one job: rebrand Camilla from the other woman into the nation's queen. Harry wrote about it in his own book. He called it exactly what it was. And here's what should make you angry. The polls prove it's not working. The British public sees through it. They always have. Diana was real. You can't manufacture that. Diana was punished for being real. Camilla is being rewarded for performing it. And 15 dirty tricks later, they still haven't come close. Let's go through each one. Number 1, the train attack, time to Epstein. Pay attention to the dates on this first one, because once you see the timing pattern, you'll see it everywhere, and you'll never look at a Camilla headline the same way again. January 2026, the Epstein files drop. Names, dates, flight logs. The biggest royal scandal in a generation is about to dominate each front page in Britain. The palace knows it's coming. Everybody knows it's coming. And right on cue, just days before the files are released, a story breaks. Camilla, years ago, was reportedly confronted by an aggressive man on a train, frightened, shaken, a sympathetic victim needing protection. Now, did it happen? Probably. But here's what I need you to think about. Why this week? That story had been sitting around for years. Nobody told it. Nobody thought it was worth printing. And then, the exact week the Epstein files are about to bury the monarchy in scandal, suddenly Camilla is the victim on page 1. Suddenly, the cameras swing to her. CBS News covered the Epstein release. CNN had it. PBS ran a full investigation. But if you were scanning the royal press that week, Camilla's frightened face was sitting where the Epstein story should have been. That's not unlucky timing. That's a play, a deliberate, strategic play to move public attention at the exact moment it was about to land somewhere the palace couldn't afford. Number 2, the police headquarters visit. And it's not a one-off, it's a pattern. Prince Andrew faces renewed calls for a criminal referral. The press is asking hard questions nobody at the palace wants to answer. And where does Camilla show up? At a police headquarters, meeting officers, shaking hands, standing with law enforcement, physically and symbolically on the right side of crime. While Andrew hides behind palace walls, Camilla is positioned as the responsible one, the one who shows up, the good royal. If Andrew's scandal wasn't burning through headlines that week, would that visit have happened on that day? Would those photos have been pushed out with that timing? You've been watching this long enough. You already know. Every crisis gets a Camilla photo op. Every scandal gets a Camilla distraction. It's clockwork. Number 3, the ITV documentary. The ITV documentary. This one was surgical. Camilla sits down for a full documentary. Cameras inside the palace, personal reflections, the kind of intimate access the public never gets. A warm, humanizing portrait of a woman the British public never asked to know better. And what was building on the horizon? More Andrew, more Epstein fallout, more questions the palace couldn't control. ITV schedules these things months in advance. Somebody looked at a calendar, looked at what was coming down the pipeline, and decided, the week the monarchy needs a warm distraction, Camilla's face fills each screen in Britain. Warmth, humor, a relatable queen, and the real story slides quietly to page 6. Number 4, the 10-year buildup. Now step back. Because these individual moments aren't random, they're chapters in a 10-year campaign. Since roughly 2015, Camilla's image has been rebuilt from the ground up. More interviews, more charity visits, more candid moments, more stories about her warmth, her humor, her quiet strength. Year after year, the same machine that cut off Diana's institutional support has been running in reverse for Camilla, building her up, softening her edges, until the public gradually forgets who she was before. It didn't happen overnight. It was never supposed to. That's the whole design. Slow enough that you don't consciously notice, consistent enough that it starts to feel normal. A decade of managed warmth until people forget this is the woman Diana cried about on national television, the woman Diana named, the woman who was there the entire time the marriage was falling apart. That's not organic acceptance. That's engineering. 10 years of it, funded by your tax money. And Diana's memory is the collateral damage. Now here's where it gets cruel. Because everything I've just shown you, the train story, the police visit, the documentary, the 10-year rebuild, that's logistics. That's calendars and press releases, cold, calculated. What comes next isn't cold at all. This is the part that should make your blood boil. Because the palace didn't just time Camilla's stories to cover royal scandals, they took the exact vulnerabilities that destroyed Diana's reputation, and they repackaged them as Camilla's strengths. Number 5, the bulimia. Diana talked about her bulimia on national television, November 1995. 23 million people watched her describe the shame, the secrecy, the feeling of being so completely out of control in her own life that her body became the one thing she could manage. It was the bravest thing any member of that family had ever done on camera. The palace called it destabilizing. Senior royals called her attention-seeking. The institution that was supposed to protect her used her honesty as proof she couldn't be trusted. They turned her courage into a diagnosis. Now Camilla has spoken about body image, about pressures, about the difficulty of public life, and the same press that savaged Diana calls it brave. The same palace that used Diana's eating disorder against her now frames identical vulnerability from Camilla as relatable, as admirable. Same kind of pain, same kind of honest disclosure. One woman was destroyed for speaking, the other is being applauded. And here's what gets under my skin about this. Diana's disclosure was real. It was raw. It came from a woman who had tried each private channel and been ignored. She went on television because she had literally nowhere else to turn. Camilla's disclosures are timed, managed, pre-approved, packaged with flattering lighting and friendly interviewers who never ask follow-ups. That's not bravery. That's a marketing campaign wearing bravery's clothes. Number 6, the self-harm. Diana talked about self-harm. In the Morton tapes, she described cutting herself, throwing herself down the stairs. She put the darkest moments of her life on record because she wanted the world to understand what that marriage, what that institution WEM had done to her. They used each word to prove she was unfit, unstable, too broken to function inside the family. When Camilla's team positions her as someone who overcame hostility, who survived decades of public hatred and emerged whole, the same press writes glowing headlines: resilience, transformation, grace under fire. Diana showed resilience each day for 15 years, through the affair, through the isolation, through the institution turning its back. She held herself together with nothing. 3 staff members, her own money, and a heart the size of the ocean. And when she finally cracked, they pointed at the cracks and said, "See? We told you she was the problem." Diana didn't have a PR team spinning her pain into headlines. She had a palace actively erasing her. And now, 27 years later, they're running Diana's exact playbook through a Camilla filter and calling it progress. Number 7, the charity work. Diana's charity work was the real thing. She held the hands of dying AIDS patients when the entire world was afraid to be in the same room. She walked through landmine fields in body armor. She sat on hospital floors with children who had nobody else. And she did each bit of it with 3 staff members and money from her own pocket after the divorce. Camilla's charity work is real too. I won't pretend it isn't. Literacy, domestic abuse, bone disease research, good causes. But here's the difference that matters. Diana did it despite the palace. Camilla does it because of the palace. Diana was stripped of everything and still showed up. Camilla has 120 staff, a sovereign grant travel budget, and the full power of the royal press machine amplifying each visit. Diana's charity work was defiance. Camilla's is content strategy. There's a gap between a woman who holds a stranger's hand because her heart won't let her walk past, and an institution scheduling photo opportunities. Diana followed her heart. Camilla follows a calendar, and the public can still tell. Number 8, the media access. Diana went on television once, one interview, and the palace treated it as the ultimate act of treason. Grounds for isolation, grounds for punishment, proof she'd gone too far and could never be trusted again. Camilla has been on camera dozens of times. ITV documentaries, magazine profiles, approved photo sessions, every single one managed, controlled, pre-negotiated. And each one is praised as openness, transparency, a modern queen connecting with her public. One interview ended Diana's relationship with the institution. Dozens of interviews built Camilla's. Same cameras, same palace, different woman, different rules. Number 9, the personal revelation. When Diana shared personal details about her marriage, they called it dirty laundry, vindictive, dangerous to the crown. When Camilla shares hand-picked personal reflections about surviving hatred, the press calls it growth, emotional maturity, wisdom earned the hard way. Diana's truth was treated as a weapon. Camilla's performance is packaged as a gift. The only variable that changed between those two verdicts is which woman the palace decided to protect. Number 10, the survivor reframe. And this is the big one, the reframe they've been building toward for 10 years. Camilla isn't just being positioned as a queen who had it tough, she's being sold as a survivor. But hold on, who actually survived? Who survived the marriage? The affair? The palace closing ranks to protect Charles and punish her? Who survived losing her title, her staff, her protection, her dignity, and still walked into a children's hospital the next morning and made each kid in the room feel like the most important person alive? Diana survived all of that, every last bit of it. And then she didn't survive Paris. Camilla survived bad headlines, public disapproval, mean comments, all of which, let's be honest, she earned. And the palace is now handing the survivor label to Camilla, repositioning the woman who caused Diana's pain as the one who overcame adversity. That's not rebranding. That's historical theft. And each person watching this can feel it. You don't need a media degree. You just need to remember Diana. Now we're past the double standards. What comes next is the machine itself. The names, the system, the actual infrastructure of how this operation runs. Number 11, Mark Bolland plus Operation Ritz. Mark Bolland. Remember that name because he built the original playbook. Tom Bauer documented it in Rebel Prince. The Guardian covered it. Newsweek confirmed it. Charles hired Bolland in the late 90s with one mission: make Britain accept Camilla Parker Bowles. He called the strategy Operation Ritz, named after the Ritz Hotel dinner in January 1999, where Charles and Camilla made their first public appearance together. That wasn't spontaneous. It was months of planning, hand-picked journalists, controlled photo angles, specific outlets briefed in advance about exactly what kind of coverage was expected. Bolland didn't manage the story. He wrote it. And the playbook he created? It's still running today. Different consultants, same strategy, 25 years of the same moves. Plant stories, control images, time each appearance to the news cycle, and always make sure a warm Camilla headline sits wherever an unfriendly royal story is trying to break through. Diana had nobody doing this for her. Not one person. The most recognized woman on earth was fighting the tabloid machine completely alone, while the palace was building a PR army for the woman who helped destroy her marriage. Number 12, the documentary They Killed. In 2014, the BBC was developing a documentary that would have examined Camilla's real history with the monarchy. Yahoo Lifestyle reported it was shelved, killed before it ever aired, no explanation given. But look at the timing. This was during the exact period when positive Camilla coverage was being ramped up across each outlet. A documentary the palace couldn't control, one that might ask hard questions and show real history, was a problem, and problems disappear. Diana never had that protection. Every documentary about her aired. Every unauthorized biography was published. The palace never once stepped in to kill a project that might damage Diana's image, because the palace had already decided Diana didn't matter enough to protect. One unfavorable documentary about Camilla? Gone overnight, like it never existed. Diana got thrown to the wolves. Camilla got wrapped in cotton wool. That's the difference. Number 13, Harry's accusation. And then there's Harry. In Spare, he described watching Camilla's image get polished, while his mother's memory was managed and minimized. He accused the palace of trading stories to the press, feeding journalists inside information in exchange for favorable Camilla coverage. Those are his words, published in 2023. Diana's own son, a man who grew up inside the machine and watched it operate in real time, publicly accusing the institution of using media manipulation to elevate his stepmother at the expense of his dead mother's legacy. And the palace? They didn't deny it. They let the accusation sit in the air and waited for the next news cycle to wash it away. That silence was louder than any denial they could have issued, because denying it would have required lying on the record, and even they weren't willing to go that far. Number 14, the polls don't lie. Now here's the number they really don't want you to see. After 10 years of rebranding, after millions in PR spend, after documentary after documentary, after staged appearance, after managed headline, the polls still tell the truth. YouGov October 2025. Camilla's favorability among the British public is still net negative. More people view her unfavorably than favorably. After each trick on this list, each Time story, each double standard, each consultant, each killed documentary, the public still isn't buying it. And compared to May 2024, her numbers actually dropped. The harder the machine pushes, the harder the people push back. That's not a PR problem. That's a credibility problem. And no budget in the world fixes credibility. Diana's approval at the time of her death? Through the roof. 27 years later, she's still the most beloved royal in modern history. No PR team, no palace machine, no consultants, no strategic reveals. Just a woman who told the truth and loved people who needed loving. The world never forgot her. The world never will. Camilla. After 25 years of professional image rehabilitation, after each trick on this list, she's still underwater in the polls. That's not a PR problem. That's a credibility problem. And no amount of money fixes that. Number 15, why it will always fail. And that's the final dirty trick, the one that can never work. Because you cannot manufacture what Diana had. You can engineer media coverage. You can time revelations to bury scandals. You can repackage pain as branding. You can spend decades and millions trying to make the public feel something real for Camilla. But you can't fake what Diana made people feel. You can't replicate the way she looked at a dying man and made him feel like the only person in the room. You can't buy that. You can't steal it from a dead woman's memory. And you can't build it in a boardroom no matter how many consultants you hire. That kind of love comes from the soul. And Camilla's team can't manufacture a soul. The campaign keeps failing because the public knows the difference between a woman who suffered and told the truth about it and an institution that packages suffering as content. Diana didn't need a strategy. She had the truth. She had her heart. And that's why she won. That's why she'll always win. And that's why each trick on this list will keep failing until they give up trying. 15 dirty tricks, timed stories, weaponized double standards, a PR operation that's been running for a quarter century. All designed to make you forget Diana. All failing. Because Diana's legacy doesn't belong to the palace. It never did. It belongs to the people who loved her. The people who mourned her, the people who named their daughters after her, and the people who still cry each time they see footage of two little boys walking behind a coffin. But here's what should keep Camilla up at night. It's not the polls, it's not the public, it's the fact that everything she has right now, the crown, the title, the jewels, the staff, the lifestyle, all of it exists because one man is still alive, Charles. The day he's gone, Diana's son decides everything. And William has been watching this whole performance since he was a boy. He remembers all of it. Click here to see 20 things Camilla will lose when King Charles dies, and why the boy who walked behind his mother's coffin now holds all the power.